Hello everyone, this is part 2 of the video of the Global Strike Museum at Barksdale Air Force Base in Shreveport, Louisiana. What you're looking at is the Lockheed T-33A Shooting Star. It was a trainer back during the Korean War era to train military pilots to fly bigger and faster jets. And then real quick, which we're probably not supposed to do, but I'll pan over here, is real B-52s out on the flight line over there out in the distance, ready to go wherever needed to drop either conventional ordnance or nuclear weapons. And this is the iconic B29 Bomber from World War II, which is also the same type aircraft that ended World War II by dropping our only 2 nuclear bombs that we've ever deployed in a combat situation on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. This is the type aircraft that delivered those nuclear bombs. Little trivia, if you're ever interested in seeing the actual B-29 that dropped the bombs, or the first bomb on Hiroshima, the Enola Gay is what it was called, is on display at the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. Next up is an aerial refueler from shortly after World War II. It was also used during the Korean conflict. I'm not sure for how many years this particular one was used, or this particular type. Anyhow, this is called the Boeing KC-97 aerial refueler. I'll take you back here and show you the refueling boom. And that'd be this thing hanging off the back here. This lowers down and extends out for planes to come behind it that have aerial refueling capability and plug up and get their fuel. And there was a guy that sat back here. Of course you can't see in there, but sits back here and operates that boom. This one, although a prop aircraft, also has 2 jet engines attached to each wing. And next up is a British bomber. And I know very little about this particular aircraft. Maybe there'll be something over here that'll tell us what about it. know it's British only because of the markings and the fact that I've seen it in history books. And I don't see anything that tells us anything about it. So anyway, somebody watching this video probably knows what this is. I know it's a cool looking airplane. And next up is a Soviet-era MiG fighter jet. Kind of appropriate since we're dealing with Russia once again. Sitting next to the B-52. This is painted in a Vietnam scheme, and this is probably a Vietnam-era B-52. The top of it is painted in camouflage and the bottom black, so that while flying over the jungles of Vietnam from top, it'd be hard to see it below. And then from the bottom, it'd be hard to see it with the black, especially if it's in the late evening flying. This is a B-52D. It could carry both nuclear weapons as well as conventional bombs. And this was the last bomber that we have in the American inventory that actually had a tail gunner, which all the bombers in World War II had. And eventually the B-52 got away from the tail gunner and put the gunner in the forward section with the rest of the crew, looking at the gun through cameras and computers. And then eventually they did completely away with the tail gun. But you can see in this older model, the gunner set back there. This is one of the pylons that they would hang bombs off of, as well as in the bomb bay area. And these pylons can be used for many things. Missiles and even test aircraft during the early ages of aviation jet time. X-15, for instance, was launched from one of these, as many other test aircraft back in the day. And next up is another B-52. Not positive, but I think this is the G model. Let's look at the similarities first. As you can see with the older model, it had a straight tail, where with the newer one, the tail is no longer like that. It's kind of cut off there. Back then in the Vietnam era, they didn't have the forward-looking infrared radars and things of that nature, which would fit underneath the nose. But with these, they did. As you can see, all this extra stuff below there. And I was correct. This is a B-52G model. The G model still had a tail gun, like I was mentioning a while ago, with the exception that the tail gunner no longer set in the back of the aircraft. He's set forward and below in the second deck area inside the bomber. I remember years ago when I came here, you used to be able to, they had the bomb bay doors open, which are right there, by the way. And you could look up in there, but now they're all closed up. Again, still has the tail gun. Except, as you can tell, there's no place for a guy to sit, as it was, for instance, on the older models. And then eventually, today's B-52 completely did away with the tail gun. And last up, and we're going to approach it from the rear, is a KC-135 aerial refueler. We're still actually using the KC-135s today, along with the KC-10, and there's a new one out right now, which I don't know much about. Difference in this one and the other refueler I showed you, besides age, is that this one was all jet engines. And obviously has a lot more capability as far as avionics and electrical stuff and whatnot. Shows a guy or girl that sits in the back of it and operates this boom. Which lowers down to give the other aircraft their fuel. And that was there. They actually laid on the floor in this one. It had a seat that they laid on to operate this boom. Where in the newer versions of the refuelers, they actually sit in a chair, upright. Okay, well, that's the tour of the Global Strike Museum at Barksdale Air Force Base in Shreveport, Louisiana. If you ever get a chance to come down here and check it out, make the stop, because it's really cool to get up in personal and see these aircraft. Hope everybody's having a blessed day. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.